So good afternoon, everybody. I'm here again with Brad Waldman in Florida. I'm sure it's nice and sunny down there. It's very hot up here in Atlanta. How are you today, Brad?
I'm doing excellent as always.
Good, good. Well, I just wanted to touch base, and we always go over crazy real estate, mortgage, everything that kind of comes out of our mouths, we kind of just spew out and talk about the trends and what's going on in the market. So, one of the biggest things that just recently happened is, we had the speech last night from Trump talking about how much longer this might go on in Iran. Last night, oil went up, and overnight we had the 10-year treasury get worse. So what's your thoughts on everything like that's going on?
Well, I just filled my gas tank up about an hour ago. It was $4.25 a gallon, which is the highest recorded price that I have ever personally seen. That's the most I've ever paid for gas per gallon in my 46 years on the planet. So, not
Are you
excited
sure?
about it.
Are you
I
sure? Because I think 2022 when Biden, because diesel hit over $5 a gallon in 2022, and that's what something I brought up because people were saying that diesel had gotten over $5, and I'm like, man, I remember when that happened in 2022, and we were also paying $14 for a 12 pack of eggs.
Well, let's start by saying I don't have a diesel, so I don't know exactly. I don't follow the trends on diesel, but
Right.
I have purged the Biden years out of my brain because those years were so horribly managed that I don't even think about what happened then. I don't like to live in the past. Um,
That passed, especially.
that past especially. Although I still don't recall paying more than $4 a gallon for gas, even during those horrific times. Um, I believe we need to get that war in Iran resolved as quickly as possible. We can call it whatever we want, conflict, war, pre-war. I don't really care. Get it wrapped up because it's not great for the economy here.
I don't know if you heard, but there's actually a pipeline in Georgia that got compromised yesterday. And I actually saw a friend that posted about it. And so I checked it out. And what it was it's a third party contractor that was doing drilling and drilled into the pipeline. And so that caused a disruption, which has, delayed things. And now they finally got it back up and running. But, you know, those kinds of things, obviously, a lot of people, every time there's something like that, even me sometimes will think, oh, this is a sabotage, to make the gas prices higher. And I'm just thankful we're not in the middle of winter because if this was happening during winter, the cost to heat the homes in the Northeast would be a lot more right now, and they would be hurting a lot worse. So it was kind of funny because you talk about the gas prices, and that's exactly what Trump kind of said last night and yesterday before the speech. He was saying that, hey, $4 a gallon is a lot better than a nuclear bomb in our, city. So I guess, it's glass half full kind of attitude. But I just don't know how much longer until it starts affecting inflation on goods and services as well.
We don't really know what's going on in Iran, just like we didn't know what was going on in Iraq during the Bush administration. I don't like to necessarily speculate too much on things I don't know about, but at the end of the day, what's happening all over the world is not good for the people of the world. We're all spending way too much money on things that normally would be affordable. So
Yep.
hopefully, whatever is going on is going to be resolved here soon in the near future.
I agree. I think, Americans need relief. And I also think it's really cool that Basent has basically come up with a fraud website that whistleblowers can report fraud. If you know that someone is taking advantage of the government and they're stealing from the government, you can report them as a whistleblower and get 10 to 30% of the fines that they impose. So imagine, and I mean, people obviously are going to get paid to turn people in, and then it's going to help the taxpayer. And there's just too much fraud in the government. We've been paying for too many things for too long. And, just last week, I think they said that during the Ukraine war, Russia and Ukraine a couple of years ago, they were funneling money back to the Biden administration for their campaign. So, there's a lot of dirty things going on with our money. And I think that if we could get our handle on the government, mismanaging the money that we give as taxpayers, obviously, I don't think we need to be taxed at all, but, um, that is a big savings that I think would trickle down to everyone and make everything cheaper.
I wonder who has the guts in Washington to actually take those steps, though. At the end of the day, I don't know that putting our hope and faith into an already proven to be corrupt government to resolve the corruption
Hey,
is
Bondi just got fired, though. Bondi just got fired. Maybe we'll get somebody in there that's going to do something and, hold these people accountable.
rightfully so, because she did absolutely nothing to bring anybody to justice. And there's plenty of cases that we could cite here on this call.
Yeah.
I honestly, I've sort of tried to stay away from the politics other than the economic news as best I can because everywhere you turn, it's demoralizing, and that's just not how I want to live my life.
Well, the crazy thing is that I mean, it seems like, and maybe it's just I'm older and I'm more in tune to how these things affect our markets, but
Sure.
it's like every single thing that's happening is affecting us. So it's almost like you have to get into that dirty politics side because if they're not going to stop the fraud and they're not going to arrest the people who are guilty and a lady in Minnesota or wherever she stole $5.6 million and got 6 months in jail. I mean, these are the things that obviously we have to get the right people in there that are willing to do the dirty work and get these people prosecuted and get our money back.
Well, I think whoever figures out how to get real Americans elected without all the bureaucracy and the red tape and all the weird things that you have to do to get into an elected position, whoever figures that out is going to be a smart person. But that's dangerous business we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and then this mess about aliens too. I mean, I saw this video about Matt Gates talking about aliens being used for hybrid something from UFOs, and then Tim Burchett was talking about it. I'm like, you know what? After COVID, after all the stuff, seeing rates go from twos and threes up to the sevens, and then we're finally coming back down. Leave it up to the world or the evil or whatever is at stake or whatever's in control right now to just throw another hammer at us and basically throw everything for a loop. I mean, that's what I'm expecting at this point.
Well, until I see an alien invasion coming to Earth, I'm not really trying to worry about aliens too much.
What about the Tampa Mall? There was that big thing at the Tampa
And
Mall,
I
wasn't
thought
there?
that I think that was in Miami. I
Miami.
read a little bit about that for entertainment. Who really knows? You and I, the average person, is never going to know what's going on.
No, but that was like the most cops I have ever seen convene onto one spot. And it was like, what's going on? I mean, I thought it was a terrorist attack. And then you see people running out of the mall and then they're like, they're huge. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But honestly, I'm not a religious person. I'm more of a spiritual person. And I feel like there's evil and good forces working anyway. So I kind of feel like this is just the way it is. But we're living through it. It's an exciting time to be alive, I have to say. Um, there's a lot of things going on in real estate, and one thing that's concerning me is, what was it last week? The administration came out and they said we are going to lower the requirements for the insurance on condos, only requiring ACV on roofs, which is actual cash value, instead of total replacement cost. This would save, it would allow condos to get approved, and they would also not require as much on the master policy maximum deductible. And I started reading more into this, and there are some good things that they're going to do, but there are some things that are going to come down the pike that I honestly feel like are going to make it even harder to get financing on condos. and that's going to be reserve requirements going up on condos. They are getting rid of the limited reviews on condos. The good news is that Florida condos, if they're attached, they're getting rid of that PERS review that was required on new Florida condos. But you know, with the other things, getting rid of the maximum investor concentration. So that's a good thing. But then you have the ability to get ACV, and maybe you end up with a shortage on when the roofs need to be replaced, and then you're in trouble. So I just think that there's a lot of moving parts. And again, I think you'll both would both agree. Just don't buy a condo. Just stay away from condos. Condos are not your best investment. They are hard to sell, especially when you can't meet the guidelines for agency financing.
Well, my advice is the same as it's been since we started doing these little chats. Don't buy a condo.
Yeah.
If you own a condo, great. I don't have anything against living in a condo, but they're not a great investment, particularly in the state of Florida.
Yeah. No, they are having a high concentration of condos in Florida. So we'll have to see what happens with the condo market down there. I would love to be able to swoop up a condo, but I don't know if I'd want to be held hostage at the mercy of all the neighbors, you know, because you get one lawsuit in there and it's non-financeable. If something happens and you have deferred maintenance, it's, you know, non-financeable. So, you know, stick built, do a modular home if you can find them. Those are a better option than your condos. Plus, you have higher rates on condos, unless it's, you know, a government loan for the most part. So, they obviously consider it a higher risk. Insurance considers it a higher risk because you're connected to a lot of people who could be stupid and set the place on fire. So, you know, those are just reasons why I would not go with a condo.
The better bet is to just do a townhome if you have townhomes
Yes.
in your market.
Yeah, I mean, it's better. I mean, you own actually the land that it sits on, you own the walls outside, you own the building. You know, I've never really understood. I mean, I do understand it if you want a beach property and you want to be able to rent it out. You want like like a condo where you can rent it out by the weekend or whatever. But to be honest, I would not want a condo where you know, I'm just subject to all of the requirements that are, you know, the special assessments, HOA fees, someone gets hurt, those kinds of things.
The only time it's acceptable, in my opinion, to buy a condo is if that's all you can afford. If you don't have the means to purchase anything beyond a condo,
Yeah.
then owning a condo is still better than renting, in my opinion.
Definitely better than renting.
Everything
Yes.
okay?
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, you know, I don't know. I have some people that are stuck right now, and actually, I spent a couple hours this afternoon texting a couple agents and some homeowners that I know are having trouble selling their condos. And these changes that are coming in August or the changes that just occurred, they're either going to help or hurt the individual seller who's trying to get out. So, if you have a condo and you're thinking about getting rid of it, definitely reach out to Brad or myself, and we can get that information to you just so you're armed with that knowledge and you know what they're going to look for.
Most real estate agents don't understand the dynamics on the financing with condos, and they'll just list a property without really understanding who the buyer base potentially could be. You need to have a lender work with your real estate agent to vet the condo for what types of applicable financing are there.
Mhm.
Because if you are trying to sell a condo that only allows you to do cash purchases or non-traditional financing, you're going to eliminate potentially 75% of your buyer base that's out there.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I got something today that I was really shocked about. I got a young person, 18, who wants to buy a home, and the home is up in the mountains. And, you know, it just solidifies the fact that you have somebody who lists the property, they don't do the research. I see a tiny home on 1 acre. It's being sold for a couple $100,000. And when I look up the tax records, I see a 1998 manufactured home that's a double
Mm.
wide, and I don't see any other building that should be attached to that property. So then I see a tax bill for 1 acre of land and it's a whole lot less than 200,000. So here's a young person trying to, buy something that they see that it's affordable. And first of all, tiny homes are very, very difficult to get financing on. I mean, finding comparable homes, if they're on a permanent foundation and they meet the square footage requirements, then it's possible, but it's very hard right now. But this is not even, the county doesn't even know it exists yet, And that's what's scary about this. It's like if the agent had done their research and looked up that the property tax record, they would have seen that. So I don't know if they're trying to just assume that they don't need to let the county know, but I just have a feeling that whoever buys that might have code enforcement come out and say, you guys never got a permit.
Well, you're not going to be able to get a loan on something like that based on the sound of it. It's going to come up at the time where the loan is underwritten. Even if your loan officer misses it and your real estate agent misses it, that mortgage loan underwriter is not going to miss it. You're going to then have to potentially find a different way to pay for it or move on to a different property.
Yeah, the appraiser is probably going to call and say, what am I just want to make sure I'm appraising this 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 10 by 10 room. It's just it doesn't make sense. I'm weird stuff out there recently. And then I had somebody who called me the other day and there was a shop and they wanted to build a home on it. And come to find out, they dug a little bit more and it's in a very, very high flood zone. So it's like buyer beware. You really need to do your research when you are looking at properties because you can buy land that cannot get water. You can buy, a piece of land on a mountain that you can't dig for water. No perk test done. It's just not doable. So you have to work with people who are knowledgeable enough to look up these things so that you're not spending money on inspections, appraisals for nothing. Because if there's problems on title, or even if, my other part of that whole property is that there is a mobile home there, but it was not retired. It was not, the title had not been retired, so it was just personal property sitting on the land that was being taxed. So, that had not even been done yet, and now there's a tiny home on it. So, who knows?
Well, the appraiser is going to call you after he finishes his inspection and collects his payday.
Oh yeah,
He's not gonna stop his check from coming.
you're
Uh,
right.
they're going to get paid, and then they're going to tell you you have a problem. So, flood zoning is an important thing that a lot of people overlook. I make it a habit, whether I'm working on the real estate side of a transaction or on the lending side of a transaction, I always look at the flood zoning on a property as the number one first thing that I do. And in my initial consults with a client, I always point out that we want to try to avoid flood zones if possible.
Yeah,
Now, if you're trying to buy a vacation home, you want to be on the beach, you want to be lakefront, those are those are desirable properties, and you are knowingly going into a flood zone in those situations. That's a different category, I think, of home, and it's to be expected that you'll be in a flood zone. But the average homeowner or home buyer is not interested in dealing with a flood zone, in my opinion.
no,
Even if the flood premium is low, and even if it's a low risk flood zone, you really need to weigh that out.
yeah, no, you do. I mean, we had an area that never flooded before. It was where I grew up before I moved with my family to Ackworth, and it was like a 1,000 year never flooded, and once it flooded, people would go under contract on homes in that area and quickly drop the contract shortly thereafter because right after that flood was cleaned up, the flood zone was, the AE, it was the highest cost. And this guy was buying a $260,000 home and the flood insurance was like $400 a month. I mean, when
Wow.
the flood insurance is going to be higher than the taxes at the time, that was, a lot of people backed out. Um, so yeah, flood insurance is different if you're on stilts and you're risk averse, or you know that you're buying at the beach where you could run into these issues. But it's another thing if, I mean, you're in the mountains, or you're in a town that has never flooded in the past, and you have this little creek, and you're like, no way can that thing get that high. No, it can. It can flood the whole street, and because a bigger river runs into that creek.
There's no way to know for sure when you're outside of a flood zone if that area will flood, but the best way to minimize your risk for flooding is to just buy a property that's not located within a special flood zone as rated by the federal government.
You can always get an elevation cert. There are times that a portion of the property might be in a flood zone. Let's say it's the back corner of the lot. Let's say that the house is, 40 feet, up, and it's up a mountain that the house was built on. Well, you can actually get an elevation certificate and try to fight having to get flood insurance. But honestly, after Helene and after Orlando flooding, like it did, I mean, there's so many areas that have never had a history of flooding that have now flooded, that if you are not required to get flood insurance, it's almost so cheap to get it that you might as well have it. If there's a portion of your property that's going to be in a flood zone and they don't require it, get it. Get it anyway, It's like I think the last time I got a quote was like 380 a year. I mean, it's really not that expensive when you think about how much it can cover. And that's to cover, I think the 250, that 250,000 was the maximum.
I I think that's great advice. If you're not in a flood zone as rated, you still can purchase a flood insurance policy. They're going to be a lot less.
A
They're going
lot
to be a
less.
lot less expensive if you're not rated for flood zoning. And you may never use it, but it's also going to be, I think, a peace of mind policy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't need it, but I have it. So, always check on the price. That's always worth, checking into, as well as, what is it? Water backup. That's a lot of, people will remove that just because it's really not that big of a deal, but wait until you have, some kind of water pipe backup, and then, you have a lot of damage. That's happened to me. So, um, yeah, I think last time we had a thing, you said that you haven't had a house claim, in like how long?
I've never filed a claim on my home.
Yeah,
I've had many homes over the last 20 plus years, and I've never filed a homeowner's insurance claim.
that's amazing.
Well,
I mean,
things
I've had
happen. I mean,
two.
things come up, but homeowners insurance is designed for catastrophic events. It's not
Yeah,
designed for broken windows or minor
yeah,
calamities. Um, these things happen, and part of homeownership is obviously dealing with those problems as they arise. But if you even call your homeowner's insurance company to inquire about filing a claim, your policy will go up.
yep. A lot of people don't know that either, but they'll put a note on your account, and they can raise your premium. And a lot of people don't know that they'll say that if you get a act of God roof replacement, oh, we can't raise your premium. That's false. All those roofers that come door to door and say, an act of God, they can't raise your insurance. Try to explain that to them the next year when your premium goes up, and they'll just tell you that it was something else. The cost to rebuild went up. This was required. Your insurance coverage required went up. So, there's usually a good excuse on why your insurance premium goes up. But I had a water that basically there was a defect, or when we obviously bought the home, but the shower pan was leaking and it was cracked. So the water leaked underneath the shower into the master bedroom, ruined the bed, ruined, everything, basically mold, remediation, had to tear out cabinets. So, I mean, that was like a $20,000 claim maybe. But if I could go back and pay that 20,000 when it happened, knowing what I know now, I would gladly pay that 20,000 and not have that claim because my insurance was very affordable. And then it was like a freight train hit. And I mean, I couldn't shop because you're kind of stuck for 3 to 5 years if you have a claim. And they just steadily went up on me. I was paying like 5,800 after it was all said and done, and I started at like 2,100. It was rough until I could switch.
When I bought my home in Florida about 5.5 years ago, maybe it might be 6 years now. It's been a minute. It's been 5 years. It's been five
Yeah,
years in a couple of months.
COVID. Yeah.
My premium was 1,800 and change per year. It was like
Mm.
1,835 or something a year. My premium now is $7,000 a year, and I've not filed any claims. And I have no choice. I've shopped it. I have no choice but to keep paying it. The insurance company has me, and I've shopped it. There is no. I mean, I maybe can save a couple $100 a year. It's just not worth changing for.
Yeah, I know. Travelers is going up on me this year. It's going on my primary up 1,500 just for the primary house. And auto, I haven't even gotten the auto, but and I thought about it. I'm like, I talked to my mom about it. She's paying almost $200 a month to be where she's at. One driver, one car. We have four vehicles with two drivers and pay like 4,200 a year. Two of them are not, they're not drive, you don't drive them every day, and we work from home, so we don't drive every day anyway. And when he's not at court or I'm not at a closing, we're here usually. So I don't know. I think that insurance has gotten way too expensive, and it's partly because people have been able to sue them for millions of dollars over neck pain. That's one of the major issues, and I'm so glad that Florida passed their tort reform, Georgia passed tort reform, and we're going to start seeing those benefits. But I'm so glad that Florida did that. And I mean, Ron DeSantis is amazing. Is amazing. He is, I mean, he's talking about, I shared a post that he shared on X, and it was talking about there's been like $38 billion in collected property taxes from cities in Florida. It has ballooned to 60 billion and is expected to double or triple in the next 10 years. And he said, this is not sustainable. We're going to do this where primary homeowners are not going to have to pay property taxes. And if they do that, I will tell you what, I might be moving down. I might be coming down to Tampa and be y'all's new neighbors because,
I know a guy.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I know a realtor, really good one.
I
Oh,
think my review of that, we've talked about that a little bit before, and I said he needs to put his money where his mouth is, and he's done that. They took it to the General Assembly, and it should be going on the ballot. As far as I know, it was voted in to be on the ballot, and now it will go
yes.
to a vote of the general population here,
I'm
and
so
the vote
excited.
the vote will require a 60% majority for that to go through. And let's hope that it does. I think that would be a benefit to homeowners. It's going to be a benefit to people that are renters because their landlords will be paying. Well, I take that back. The landlords won't be receiving the tax benefits, but all the more incentive for you to look at buying a home then.
Yeah. Because if you don't think, I mean, here's the downside, and if you do not tax primary homeowners, but investors get taxed, they're going to raise the payments on the renters, and that is going to raise the cost for renters all around. So, like Brad said, buy the home, don't pay your landlord's mortgage.
I think as a great example of what you're talking about, the in my experience, the majority of people that have rental property in Florida are already paying astronomical tax rates. They are absolutely bananas. On a $500,000 home, you might be paying $12,000 a year if you own that property as a rental.
Yep.
Um, my property is an owner occupied property. I started at 3,800 a year, and gosh, my taxes they went as high as 12, and I got them down to somewhere around 8,500 or 9,500, which is
Mhm.
still a lot in
Yeah.
real estate taxes. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, no, and that's how it is here. I mean, I have an investment home and it's in a different county, so I can't really, comparing apples to apples, but plus different values. But I mean, I'm paying probably 40% more than the homestead owners in the same neighborhood for renter. I mean, me being a landlord. Then they're hitting me with an extra $200 fee for the HOA dues. And actually something that just passed in Georgia, and I don't know if Florida has a similar thing, but HOAs have been out of control and they've been like foreclosing on people for having their trash can out for too long and faded windows and that kind of stuff. I mean, I can understand if somebody's tearing up a property, but for, the most part, there should be some oversight on HOAs and their ability to foreclose and place liens and just have no recourse. So now the state of Georgia is requiring that all HOAs be registered with the Secretary of State. They can file a complaint against the HOA and be heard and actually go in front of a judge to hear the case. And they have to apply the fees, any partial fees first to dues, then to fines, then to whatever penalties. So there's at least some organization coming down because these HOAs they're rogue. I mean, they just do whatever they want.
Well, the reality is HOAs probably do have some people at at the boardroom or I, I need to start.
Lobbyists, like
No,
lobbyists.
the on the boards of HOAs, they have some unique personalities that
Oh
usually
yeah,
sign up for those
Karens.
jobs.
Yes.
The Karen squad maybe.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a problem with HOAs. I don't particularly like to live in one, but HOAs do have some value. They absolutely can foreclose on your property with the right bylaws in place.
Mhm.
Uh, when I did live in an HOA last, I was the king of leaving my trash can out, and I would get a letter constantly, and my trash can wasn't a long driveway trip, but
Yeah.
I just, I got better things to do than worry about where my trash can is.
Or the fact that you didn't edge up to the sidewalk. I mean, they would leave me letters like that. I paid extra to get these nice windows in my garage door, windows so you can see in your garage. And they made me pay to remove them because apparently the HOA lady, was she actually stole money from the HOA and got into big, big trouble for it. But basically, she decided what she wanted in the neighborhood and said, no, nobody else has windows, so you have to call the company, pay to have the windows removed, or we're going to put fines and liens on your home. I mean, I was like 2 weeks moved in. Okay, welcome. Thanks for the welcome. I'll go pay to have these removed, and I had to pay $250 to have $200 option windows removed that they put into someone else's garage doors. So, I'm bitter with HOAs, but my plan is because of depreciation, unless they change the tax laws or exempt people like me from any kind of tax burden, my plan is that when we get older, we will move back to our original house, that house, and live there for 2 years, then sell it. Then I'm not subject to capital gains, and then I'll move back to this house and live here for the rest. I mean, it's a tax loophole, and that's the only way to get around it is to make it your primary 2 out of the last 5 years, and then you're not subject to capital gains.
You'll
So
just
until
have to
you
figure
pay,
out you just have to figure out how to pay for that big house that you're moving out of while you're
well,
not
I would
living there.
rent it. Just like I rented that one, I would rent this one. But yeah,
That's a smooth way to get around the capital gains.
hey, that's my plan. Unless something changes. And here's the thing, all the bedrooms are on the second floor in that house. So let's hope that we're not too old to climb the stairs, or we're gonna be sleeping in the living room for 2 years.
Really depends on when you decide you're going to sell it, I guess.
Exactly. And right, I mean, we have 5,800 square feet, and are only two people with five dogs, and we have so much space. But I would personally pay more for half the space if I sold right now because it's more expensive. Plus the rates are up. I mean, I've got a 2.6 rate. Why, I'm stuck. So I'm just going to stay where I'm at.
Every dog has his own bedroom.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And I have an in-law suite for mom too.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
got
so
I've got a huge house full of kids, so
I
we need
know
we need the
you do.
space
And cats.
and cats. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't have any dogs.
No dogs. I had a dog years back. She lived to be about 17, and then when she passed, we decided no dogs while we're raising kids. And
Yeah.
now the kids are old enough maybe to deal with the dog, but quite honestly, the lifestyle we have is already busy enough, and training a puppy is not on my to-do list of things that I would enjoy doing right now. And
You get
uh,
visits from your uncle anyway, so he brings his dogs.
yeah, my parents have dogs too. I mean, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, we just tend to be cat people. We've got a couple of great cats, and that's
Cats are
yeah,
self-sufficient. You can leave them for a whole weekend and they're fine.
yep. And you don't have a lot of mess to clean up from cats. There's very little mess.
Yes, my husband is a cat person. I made him into a dog person. Now we have all dogs, and I mean, I'm leaning more toward cats because they're just low maintenance. They pick when they want to love you, and that's fine with me. You know, I mean, it's after I don't know. I've been alive more than 40 years in this world, and I can't remember the last time I went to the bathroom by myself without being followed by a four-legged animal. It's like, so it'll be definitely a big change. But my plan is when we have four seniors and one little purse-like dog. So my plan is that after the others are passed on, we'll do some traveling and we'll go with my purse dog wherever we can go.
That's good. Well, I'll give you some advice because you have a lot of dogs.
Yeah.
You should limit yourself to two cats when you do get cats
Oh
because
no, I'm not going to be the crazy cat lady. Hell
don't
no.
don't do that. More than two is too many.
Yeah,
Two's the
no,
right
2 to 3 is like, no, you don't want more than that.
two's the right number. They've got a little bit of time to keep each other company
Yes.
and play and such. But more than two, then you've got to deal with way more cat boxes than you want to deal with. And I've got a Maine Coon, and she's already eaten me out of house and home.
Oh my gosh, we had a Maine Coon, and that cat followed us around the lake like a dog when we walked the dogs. She would walk behind us and follow us. And I mean, just you didn't have to have a leash, nothing. I mean, just like a dog. It's crazy.
We bought our Maine Coon from a Russian, I think they were Russian breeder, and I asked the gentleman if he had any advice for me. It's because we've got a cat, but this is a different kind of cat. And his exact words were Maine Coon like dog. And he's right. They are very much like dogs. She's as a matter of fact, her nickname is the big dog because she runs the house like a big dog.
That's not the white one, is it?
Yeah, it's Winter.
Okay. Yeah, we had a white one too. Winter white. Man, that thing. It's like
Winter
Snow White.
Waldman. Winter Waldman.
That's cute. I love that. Well,
Yeah.
and we got about a month until we're going to be live in person. I'm going to try to set this up where we can do this up there. I don't know if
Yeah, it
we'll
sounds
try to
good.
figure out the
Maybe,
technology.
maybe we can get a couple guests on.
Yeah. At least, sit live and in person, and maybe we can sit on opposite sides of the hotel and just interview people as they go past.
I don't know if that I don't know if our coworkers are going to go for that.
Hey, it'd
Well,
make for an interesting take, that's for sure.
we've got a lot of camera shy folks that we work with.
Yes. But we got a lot of outgoing people too. I mean, we got some
Sure.
pretty crazy people. I'm sure we can think of a couple, and after they get a little bit of liquid courage in them, they usually are pretty fearless.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that.
Yeah. I'm not pleading the fifth. Oh, well, definitely. I think we've pretty much gone over everything we wanted to talk about. Is there anything else you wanted to talk
Oh,
about?
what do you think about this trip to the moon?
Dude, I don't know. It's bad timing, first of all, but um, yeah, I don't know. I don't really that whole thing with the SpaceX missions and the girls going up in the I don't know.
I think we're seeing a lot of CGI.
Maybe there's somebody who was trying to prove that it was real. And I had a friend that was actually out there, and they thought it was going to be a dud that they weren't going to get to see it, and then they got to see it. But I don't know. I just think that it's a
Oh, I'm
little
sure they're
wild.
launching something. I mean, they're
Yeah,
launching something, but is it actually getting to space? Who knows?
who knows exactly? I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, honestly, I feel like half of the things that they talk about are distractions. Like, look over here, not over there.
Sure.
Um, so I'm like, okay, what happened during the space shuttle launch that they didn't want us to watch? So we'll have to figure that one out. But usually when there's, a shooting or there's civil unrest or they're going to do a no kings rally, that kind of thing, it's usually there's something going on that they're wanting to draw attention away from. I
I'm
believe.
just trying to be a hamster on my hamster wheel over here. I get up
Yeah.
every day, I work hard, I take
Yeah.
care of my family, and I try not to worry about all that other noise out there in the world.
Well, I saw your wife. She was cooking some very tasty looking, what was it? Philly cheesesteaks. Oh my gosh.
That was lunch yesterday. That was a good surprise. I wasn't expecting that, but it ended up on my desk while I was working. I had a 12-hour day behind the desk yesterday, and that was a nice lunchtime surprise I hadn't expected.
Well, definitely. My stomach was growling after I watched that video. So you got to tell her that that looks so tasty. And if I come down to Tampa, I'm definitely coming to visit y'all, and then she can cook me a Philly cheesesteak.
There you go.
All righty. Well, you take care, and definitely I'm gonna see you. I think we're gonna do another one of these right before, probably in a couple weeks. So I'll see you then, and
Sure.
talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
All righty. Bye.